installed.
Worshipful Master, John Daniels. Senior Warden, Terry Valman. Junior Warden, Ray Randolph. Senior Deacon, John Banks. Junior Deacon, Matt Daniels. Senior Steward, Isaac De La Cerda. Junior Steward, Shane Seymour. Tyler, Miles Connerly. First Master, I present the officers appointed and elected of Cedar Bayou Lodge number 321 for installation. I believe each of them to be well qualified to discharge the duties of their office, and each has indicated his willingness to do so. I therefore ask that they be duly and constitutionally installed in their respective offices.
Brothers, be seated, please. Ladies, gentlemen, and my brethren, it is probable that some of you are in a Masonic Lodge room for the very first time. And if so, many of the things you see here may be strange to you. Let me assure you that everything in this room, outside of the ordinary furniture, has a deep significance and meaning to Freemasons. There are three things which I wish you to particularly notice. The first is the altar and the book open upon it. There is an altar in every Masonic Lodge room, and always, when the lodge is open and working, the book of our faith is open upon it, which is a constant reminder of the presence in our meetings of the Supreme Architect of the universe. The second thing that I want to draw to your attention is that every Mason present is wearing a white apron. This is said to have come from the wearing of a leather apron by our ancient brethren, who were in fact stonemasons. The modern Mason, the white apron is a symbol of innocence and the badge of a Mason. The third thing is the hat worn by the presiding officer. This is a very old custom, and as the case with so many things Masonic, there are several reasons given for the custom. One is that it came from the custom of King Solomon, who is said to have been one of our three ancient Grand Masters, to always wear his crown when presiding over the crowd. Another interpretation, and one which certainly is logical, is that it is not so much that the master has his hat on, as every other Mason has his hat off, as a mark of respect. Not necessarily to the man in the office, but to the office itself. Freemasonry is the largest fraternal organization in the world. It has some 4 million members in the United States and Canada, and it exists in all the free countries of the world. Texas alone has nearly 70,000 members and more than 800 lodges. Freemasonry flourishes in the soil of freedom and enriches that soil. Freemasonry is the oldest fraternity in the world, and is the oldest fraternity the world has ever known. So old that it existed before the dawn of written history. So old that no man knows whence it came or where it began. But we do know this. Freemasons were choosing of their own free will and accord their leaders long before any country ever dreamed of allowing their subjects a voice in their government. So these good men seated before you have been freely chosen by their brethren to fill posts of leadership in our gentle fraternity. And it now becomes my duty and privilege to assist in installing them in their positions of trust, responsibility, and dignity. And as this age-old ritual is performed, I ask that you give it your close attention. I assure you that this ritual is not just a string of meaningless words and phrases. Its language has the deepest meaning and significance to Freemasons. Brother Marshall, you will present the worshipful master-elect for installation. Worshipful sir and brother, I take pleasure in installing you into this honorable office with the usual ceremonies. But previous to being invested with the insignia of your office, it is necessary that you should signify your assent to the charges and regulations which point out the duty of a master of a lodge. You agree to be a good man and true, and strictly to obey the moral law. You agree to be a peaceable citizen and cheerfully to conform to the laws of the country in which you reside. You promise not to be concerned in plots and conspiracies against the government, but patiently to submit to the decision of the Supreme Legislature. You agree to pay a proper respect to the civil magistrate, to work diligently, live creditably, and act honorably by all men. You agree to hold in veneration the original rulers and patrons of the Order of Masonry and their regular successors, supreme and subordinate, according to their stations, and to submit to the awards and resolutions of your brethren when convened, in every case consistent with the Constitution of the Order. You agree to avoid private picks and quarrels and to guard against intemperance and excess. You agree to be cautious in carriage and behavior, courteous to your brethren, and faithful to your lodge. You promise to respect genuine brethren and to discountenance impostors and all dissenters from the original plan of Masonry. You agree to promote the general good of society, to cultivate the social virtues, and to propagate the knowledge of the art. You promise to pay homage to the Grand Master for the time being, and to his officers when duly installed, and strictly to conform to every edict of the Grand Lodge or General Assembly of Masons. That it is not subversive of the principles of groundwork of Masonry. You admit that it is not in the power of any man or body of men to make innovations in the body of Masonry. You promise a regular attendance on the committees and communications of the Grand Lodge on receiving proper notice, and to pay attention to all the duties of Masonry on convenient occasions. You admit that no new lodge shall be formed without permission of the Grand Lodge, and that no countenance be given to any irregular lodge or any person clandestinely initiated therein, being contrary to the ancient charges of the order. You admit that no person can be regularly made a Mason in or admitted a member of any regular lodge without previous notice. These are the regulations of free and accepted Masons. Do you submit to these charges and promise to support these regulations as masters have done in all ages before you?
I do.
Brother Daniel, in consequence of your cheerful conformity to the charges and regulations of the order, you are now to be installed master of this lodge, in full confidence of your care, skill, and capacity to govern the same. Brother Marshall, you will invest the worshipful master with the insignia of his office, which is the square. The various implements of the profession are emblematical of our conduct in life, and upon this occasion are carefully enumerated. The Holy Writings. The great light in Masonry will guide you to all truth. It will direct your path to the temple of happiness and point out to you the whole duty of man. The square teaches us to regulate our actions by rule and line, and to harmonize our conduct by the principles of morality and virtue. The compasses teach us to limit our desires in every station, that rising to eminence by merit, we may live respected and die regretted. The rulers directs that we shall punctually observe our duty, press forward in the path of virtue, and neither inclining to the right nor to the left in all our actions, have eternity in view. The line teaches us the criterion of moral rectitude, to avoid dissimulation in conversation and action, and to direct our steps to the path which leads to immortality. The Book of Constitutions. You are to search at all times, cause it to be read in your lodge, that none may pretend ignorance of the excellent precepts it enjoins. You now receive in charge the charter, by the authority of which this lodge is held. You are carefully to preserve and duly transmit it to your successor in office. Lastly, you receive in charge the bylaws of your lodge, which you are to see carefully and punctually executed. Brother Marshall, you will seek the worshipful master and present the senior warden-elect for installation.